Okay, everyone. Finally, we're going to do the Facebook group video. It's just going to kind of break down a few things on the groups, how to maneuver the groups. I'm not going to tell you like what to ask and what not to ask, but especially for people that are new, for those of you that are already on the group, you know, but some of you don't. I mean, I still find a lot of sensitive issues going on and how people are talked to. Different groups are going to tolerate different things. Okay, so we'll start off with, because this is a group that I am an administrator on, or a moderator, Tarantula Keepers. This is not counting arachnoboards, because arachnoboards is a different type of thing. They do have a Facebook platform, but Tarantula Keepers itself is the largest tarantula site on Facebook. Over 27,000 members. The first thing that you want to do when you join a group, and I can't show you because I'm not joining this group, but when you ask for a request, a membership basically to that site, most of the groups now have questions, and there's 3 questions. Some have 2, some have none, because the questions haven't fallen to that group yet. It's being spread throughout the platforms of the groups. Eventually they'll all have the capability of asking you 3 questions to get into the group. Answer those questions and read them, because you may be answering, you just don't feel like, you think they're yes and no questions, but some of them aren't. Like the 3 questions for this group, Tarantula Keepers, are different than other groups, because we ask at the very end, if you could own any type of tarantula, what would it be? And believe it or not, you could tell a lot by what people answer there. Some will just answer one, the genus and the species. Some will answer the common name. Some will give you a little paragraph. Some will say, I'm a new keeper. I don't own a tarantula yet. I want to do research on, what's the proper or best tarantula for me, which are great, which is a great answer, by the way. So here at Tarantula Keepers, disregard this Revolution reptile stuff. I can't move this over so you can see it because of the screen resolution and what it's set up as. This is Tarantula Keepers right here. You can see it right here, okay? There are a handful of, there's one administrator, which is Scott Templeman. He's the owner of the group, and then there's a group of 5 or 6 or 7 of us that are moderators that help make sure that the site moves smoothly. People aren't being harassed. There's no spam. There's no links to like porn or anything like that in the group. So we do have to continually monitor, and we have to continually monitor people that are requesting to get in. And another quick statement: if you're going to, like, you want your buddy to join in, so you send them kind of like I guess that would be like a request, or I'm going to say, well, we'll take my son Alex. I'm going to send Alex an invite to the group. If he doesn't know about it, he's going to show up as wanting entry, but he's not answering the questions. If we don't answer the questions, we don't let you in. You have to answer the questions, and that just shows us that you're taking the time to do it. And for those of you overseas, one of the questions for our group here is that we're an English-only site, so you only speak English on this group because it's an international language. And do you agree to those terms? And people are answering back in Tagalog, right? Tagalog, the Filipina language, or one answered yes in French. That's not what we want to see, because to me, it's an automatic no, you're not getting in. Because to me, you're just being sarcastic. But anyway, so you have Tarantula Keepers. This group here is a little bit more tight. The rules are a little bit more precise in more expert care. Not that, it's expert care. You have a lot of, this group has a lot of very, very, very experienced keepers on it. So there's a lot of good information that you can get here. This is a place that if you want to find some of the, I don't know why that's stupid Elvira. You could find some good information here. Now, you could post pictures, you could post videos. One of our rules is no sales, no trading, and no in search of posts here. We have a group, Tarantula Traders, that's a sister group of this, that you could do all that there. And we also we allow handling videos or handling pictures as long as if it's a medically significant tarantula, which we consider Salmopaeus, and anything in the old world. If you have that handling, then you have to put a disclaimer in the original post saying, it doesn't have to say medically significant, but it has to say, handle at your own risk, basically. Tarantulas will bite, can bite. So that's one of the groups. If we go back, give me 1 second. Oh, okay. There's also beginner tarantula keepers. This is for your basic brand new keepers that have never kept a tarantula before, probably bought something on a whim. Doesn't have a lot of traffic, but it's pretty much the same admins that are there that are at tarantula keepers. So you have very experienced admins between tarantula keepers, beginner tarantulas, and then you also have Tarantula Keepers Pennsylvania. There's also Tarantula Keepers whatever state you are. There's those sites are also there. So there's the guy that owns, Scott Templeman, that owns Tarantula Keepers, owns all the sites for the Tarantula Keepers dash whatever state you're in. So any of you that are from Pennsylvania, feel free to join. And if you want to, look up like Tarantula Keepers New Jersey or Tarantula Keepers Colorado, see what's going on there. I don't know how much traffic is in all those because I'm from Pennsylvania, so I kind of took that site over from Scott so that he doesn't have to deal with it, and I can work with people from Pennsylvania just on that group there. Awesome Arachnids UK. It's a great UK site. Very good admins. Very English, British, United Kingdom, Scottish, all that mixed into one. I love going there because I like listening to the way that everybody talks and the banter and the way that the words that they use. I'm still trying to figure out some of them. When they type a sentence, I'm still trying to figure out what it is exactly what they're saying. But like this group here, there's no handling. You're not allowed to handle. There's no pictures. So don't take a picture with a spider on your hand and put it in that group because you're just going to get deleted and you may just get kicked out of the group. When you join a group, go to the rules, go to the group guidelines. Let's go back to Tarantula Keepers here. See if I could find it. There should be, no, there isn't. Yeah, I don't use it on the computer very often, but up here there's going to be a group that's called Files. And once you click the Files section, let's see, here, it's off to the side over here. So you hit Files. Okay, and then you'll come down through. Here's a place where you could type in where you live. Trusted people that we deal with. Basically people that are tarantula breeders and sellers that have all good reviews, that ship their tarantulas the correct way, not through the United States Postal Service, not brown boxed from overseas into the United States. There's a lot of good information. And here's the simple group guidelines. So if you click on that, it's going to tell you, what the rules are of the site. So please familiarize yourself with them, because it's going to make your experience a little bit easier. It's going to make it better for the admins, because then we don't have to kick you out for something that you should have read. And, you know, it's almost like, I know a lot of people don't do it. You know, you buy a car and you don't read the fine print. This is kind of the same deal, you know. So it's up to the discretion of the moderators in any group, whether they delete a post, delete a member. They don't have to have a reason, you know, a specific reason. It could be, you know, we had someone that joined the group the other day. They posted a in search of post. I reminded them that that's not allowed. I shut the comments off of that post. I asked them to read the group guidelines, and 25 minutes later they posted another in search of post. So I deleted that member, because apparently you just don't want to take time to read the rules. So it's, you know, going through those sites. Now I'm going to break this video is going to be done in 2 12-minute sections. So we got about another minute here, maybe 3 12-minute sections. These, again, the groups that you have and the way that they're done, basically your basic most important thing is to answer the questions when you join, and then read the group guidelines. Familiarize yourself with the group guidelines, because they're different from group to group. Some groups won't allow like vertebrate feeding videos. If you do put it in there, you have to put it in the comment section, and on the original post you have to say, you know, vertebrate feeding inside, you know, viewer beware, just so that if I don't appreciate or agree with vertebrate feeding, then I could skip right over that. It's not right there in my face. So you have to figure out what rules each group tends to favor. So, okay, that's enough for the rules. We're going to get into some of the different things with the sites themselves. Back to the sites again. We did awesome arachnids, tarantula keepers, beginner tarantulas, tarantula. Midwest Fang Gang is a newer group, a little bit more laid back. They have a lot more fun there. They're a lot looser. A lot of the people that are running it or in it are younger. And when I say younger, I mean like, you know, 35 to 20-ish. There's a lot of playful banter. There's quite a bit more swearing. It's a change of pace from some of the other places. And each group has its pros and its cons, you know, depending on the personality of the person. Some people don't like the group because they feel it's more of a frat kind of a feeling, where some people don't like tarantula keepers because they feel that it's a little bit more uptight. And people are a little bit less nice, basically. My suggestion to you, if you're new, is to join a handful of them. See which ones are the most popular. You have TK, this TK, and then Midwest Fang Gang, Awesome Arachnids. Even if you're from the United States, you can join there. They do have some good information and some very, very knowledgeable people over there that are in that you can get some. I get some solid information from there. Here's the Tarantula Trader site. Here you could post tarantulas for trade, for sale, and in search of. You have Tarantula Keepers of the World, another group. This is 4,482 members. I'm a moderator, admin at this group also. This is Darren Byrne that owns this, a really, really, really good guy. And we have some great people that moderate there. So, you know, check that place out. Here's a rack that's classified where you can list your tarantulas for sale. Please make sure that you read the rules there, because there's very specific rules on what they ask you to do when you post stuff for sale there. In terms of service, how you ship, pricing, stuff like that. Manus Keepers, of course, that's stuff from the Manuses. Tarantula Breeders USA. This is basically just a small closed group. Not a lot of people. Most of us are all pretty much friends. And it's just kind of to go over stuff that we're doing and try to keep track of breeding, how we're doing with breeding stuff. We can ask people that have bred stuff before on, you know, should I wet them down? Should I not wet her down? Should I keep her dry? Should I keep feeding her? Should I not feed her? Blah, 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 stuff like that. So that's another group. I don't know, again, if that's open enrollment or he has that closed. Tarantula Classifieds, another sale group, the male tarantula hookup. So if you have a mature male that you want to put out on a breeding loan or find somebody that might want to buy them, this is a good place to go. Here's the American Tarantula Society, a lot of good information there. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of traffic on that site though, but I don't go on it very often. So America Feeders and Breeders, this is another group that's got a lot of stuff where you can find a lot of different kind of feeders for your tarantulas, a good place to buy stuff. Arachnoboards, of course, there's a wealth of information here if you know what you're looking for and how to find it. But you have to be careful. There are some extremely experienced people that have some huge egos and a huge need to demean people that have less knowledge than them. They ask you to research on your own, but don't go Google. So what are you supposed to do? You know, I think these groups are good for people that, to me, Google's crap. You could look up minor things there to get get a handle of something or an idea of something, but the best information that you're going to get is from these people on these groups. I'll explain to you how to utilize the people on the groups in the last segment, the last 12-minute segment of this. So these are all groups that, of course, that I'm members of. Here's an Arachnids Communities feedback, so you can go there and find out if somebody that you're buying a spider from may have some feedback there, positive or negative. A six-eyed sand spider group, scorpions and tarantulas, venomous fangs, and exotics. I don't even know the last time I even went there. If this is even a group there's only 55 members. Here's a place where you could go, and this is a female tarantula spermathecate, where you could go and see pictures of different females and what they actually should look like when they're developed enough that you could see them. There's groups like Brachypelma, the Salmopaeus group specifically, or scorpion keepers. This is a sister group of tarantula keepers. There's a couple other ones. Why am I missing? I seem to be missing a couple. Here's another one, Tarantulas of the World, Information and Sales, I think, right? I think this, let's click it. Tarantulas of the World, Information and Sales. It's another group. It's basically, again, I don't want to say bad things about the groups and good things about the groups. I just want to give you an idea of how they are and what they operate. There's less people here, but a little bit more tight-knit. So you have a handful of people that do give some very good information, and there's a handful of people that are giving information that isn't really all that good. But that's not just here. It's everywhere. It's I don't want to say it's rampant in one group versus the other, but you can see certain groups that have a little bit more of it than others. But again, there is some very, very knowledgeable people in all of these groups, and it's finding those people is the trick. Again, here's Midwest Fang Gang. I don't know what they're up to as far as membership. Probably in the 4,000 group, I would imagine, somewhere in that neighborhood. Brad is the owner here, Brad Collins right here. So he's got his rules right here in a pinned post. Again, there's not a ton of rules, but the rules that he has in place are for his purposes, for him to keep a handle on his group, basically. So his administrators and moderators can do their job to make the group what Brad had envisioned of the group. So you have some breeders on this group that aren't on a lot of other groups that have bred some stuff that hasn't been bred very often. Josh Fox, Austin Spears. Austin's on a few different groups, but some Vlad Rep, some stuff that's being bred that isn't as popular, not as popular, but hasn't been bred much. So there's a lot of that on this group. Again, just like with any other group, there's a lot of people on this group that don't really know what they're talking about and pretend to know what they're talking about. But that, again, it goes to hand in hand with any group that you're on. Tarantula Keepers has them. And just because there's 27,000 members, trust me, there's probably a handful more there just because of the broad spectrum. There's a lot more international people on Tarantula Keepers. Midwest Fan Gang is more of a United States and some United Kingdom people, but not too many from the Asian countries, excuse me. So those are the groups, and they're the most popular ones. And I mean, if you want to search, you just go to the search and just type in, oops, not that. Type in tarantulas and see what happens. So you can see it'll give you a couple different things. See, tarantulas for sale UK, tarantulas for sale, tarantulas London. So there's different all kinds of different groups, and you may be able to find a group that's local to your area. If you live in California, let's say from San Diego area, there may be a San Diego Tarantula Keepers group specifically for that area. So I'm going to pause it here, and then we'll finish the last segment. Even though this one didn't come close to 12 minutes, we'll finish the last one by learning the site itself and how to ask questions, what questions to ask, what questions maybe not to ask, and how to find people that you can trust. Okay, so the last segment of this, we're just going to go to Tarantula Keepers just because this site's just familiar with me. I'm on it quite often every day. So, oh gosh, I hope these people don't mind that their names being on here. I don't really want people to have their names on here, but let's just say, okay, here's one here. I hope Lily doesn't mind. I don't know if she watches my videos or not, but we're going to use her as an example. So Lily, if you don't approve of this, please let me know and I'll just delete this part out. But she asked a question here, has an issue with new tarantulas. It's an avicularia pink toe. It's just a common for pink toes to take longer to adjust than others. Is there any particular reason for this? I'm asking because my pink toe has been taking a while to adjust as well. This is a very common question with avicularia species, that you buy them, you put them in an enclosure, and 5 months later they still haven't put a piece of web down. It's normal for some web right away, some don't. But then you'll have people that'll answer the questions for you. This guy's very, very smart right here, Pavelski. Very, very smart guy. So people will answer those questions. Now, this is what she wrote here. She's been lurking for a few days. Now, people have done this. They'll lurk for a while. They'll read the post. They'll look at pictures. It gives them a good idea of what they want to get, how to care for different tarantulas. And then they're going to say, okay, well, now I'm ready to buy one. So then they put the post on. What is the best beginner species? Now, you're going to get 15, 20 people. You'll get 4 or 5 different tarantulas that'll probably show up in the majority of them. And then you'll have somebody that'll come on there and say OBT. These are the people I want to punch in the eye. I mean, not literally, but it's quite apparent that the person that's asking the question is a beginner. And to recommend something like that, it's not funny. It may be funny to you, but it's not funny to anybody else. So be respectful to people as best as you possibly can. There are people that like to troll. They like to just get under people's skins and try to get reactions out of people. You're not going to get away from that. It's going to happen no matter what. I've had people do it to me. I have people that follow my stuff and just post something stupid on a post that I do. They'll put a response on there. It's just, I don't even know why they're putting a response on there. So you want to learn how to find somebody that you can trust on the sites. So if you take your time, you'll see people that post a lot. You'll see people that answer questions a lot. Read everything in the post before you respond. Well, let me backtrack. When you see somebody, I'm going to use I'm going to use my friend Ruth Cowper, for instance. Okay, she owns mostly reptiles. She sells reptiles, she sells tarantulas. So if you're on Tarantula Keepers and you're brand new and you have all these questions, but you're afraid to ask because you think that people are going to think that you're dumb or get all over your case because you're in a reptile group and that's what they do to you in the reptile group, so you think it's going to happen here. What I did is I found that person. So my person was Pamela, friend of mine. She was an administrator. I had some questions. She was responding to a lot of the pictures I put on there. She was nice. She was welcoming. She was intelligent. So I started just sending her private messages and asking her questions. And then she would answer them. And if she didn't know the answer, she would find somebody that did. To the point where I started to get more comfortable with posting questions that maybe most people should know, but you don't because you just started out. You know what I'm saying? So find that person or two or three, or, ask a couple people, say, hey, I want to ask a bunch of questions, but I'm a little leery about asking them, who's a good person that I can send a private message to that can answer some of these questions for me. And most people will send you either, go ahead and give me a private message or go to this person, So go to that person, send them a private message, and give them a little bit of time to answer it because, of course, we're not all on our phones 24 hours a day, maybe 23 hours a day, but not 24 hours a day. And let them get back with you, answer the question, and you'll know right away if that person's somebody that you can trust based on the way that they answer your question. I had somebody that sent me a message because they had posted something about, they wanted they're going to be a new keeper. They want to buy tarantula, but they have no idea what to buy. And people were inundating them with all these different things. And I just asked them they sent me a private message and they asked me, or they said, what do I recommend? And I said, well, I need to ask you a few questions first. Are you looking at something that's an arboreal species, something that climbs trees? Are you looking for something that digs? Are you looking for something that, is out more often, something that eats a little bit better, something that's not as fast? Those questions need to be answered first. And I think once they realized, that I cared about what the answers I was going to give them, they felt more comfortable with asking me questions that they may not have asked on the group. So, doing that is an important thing. I really, really, really think that finding a few friends, a few people that you can trust on the group that you could send private messages to are huge. It's easier to ask a question to one person than it is to put it out there in front of everybody, because a lot of people are very, very introverted. It's hard for them to ask questions, and then when they start get jumped on, then they feel uncomfortable and they won't ask the questions that they really need to ask later on. So find those couple people. Now, going back to the groups, when you see a post that you want to respond to, and we'll use a post that somebody posts a picture of a molt that says, "Can you help sex my tarantula?" And there's 20 people that have answered that question. If you want to put your 2 cents in, that's fine. But I think after the first 5 or 6 or 7 people that all say male, I don't think we need to, you don't need to answer questions anymore. You don't need to respond to that. Because to me, sometimes it just looks like you're trying to look smart and you really aren't, because you're just copying what's above you. If you see 17 people that say female and then you want to be a smartass and put male down the bottom, you better be able to say why, because I'm going to ask you. And some other people are going to ask you, why do you think that that's male? I'm just curious on what it is that you're seeing that nobody else is seeing. Other posts that people ask questions on, and people give information. And then a lot of times they'll say, well, can I ask a question like, I'm having trouble with this tarantula that's always climbing, and it shouldn't be climbing. Like my Brachypelma hamori is always on the side. It's been in there for a month. Why won't it go on the ground? So I'm going to say, can you take a picture of the enclosure so I can see what it looks like? Sometimes it's very visible. Oh, we might have reptibark. They don't like that, or the substrate's too wet, or something like that can be done very easily. So the person will take a picture, they'll put it in the comments, and nobody will see it. So my advice to you is to take the time to look through all the comments if you can. Sometimes you'll get, one response will have like 96 comments underneath it. When you see a number of 25, 30, or 40 and above, you know that there's a big debate going on in that thing. So sometimes it's interesting to read them because you can learn stuff both ways. Because again, I've said this a million times, there's not just one way to keep these things. There's a bunch of different ways, and there's a bunch of different ways geographically, not only here in the country that we're in, the United States, but different ways to keep them in the UK, different ways to keep them in the Philippines or Malaysia or Brazil. How you're going to keep them geographically is completely different. So you'll be able to learn different things. A lot of people don't understand and don't know that shipping a tarantula through the United States Postal Service is a federal offense. It is illegal to ship anything venomous in the mail, except for a few exceptions like a scorpion for medical purposes, certain bees, and I'm not quite sure about ants, but there's a few things that you can. Spiders are not one of them. Any spider that has venom, which is pretty much all of them, is not legal to ship through the United States Post Office. So you'll have people that sell them, they ship them to them USPS, they put a video out on there. Oh, look, I got this package from blah, blah, blah tarantulas. And right on the top there, for everybody to see, it's a shipping label from the United States Postal Service. This happens every day. Okay, there's probably hundreds of things that are shipped illegally through the United States Postal Service every day. I'm not saying that you're going to get in trouble for it. You may not. You may get thousands of spiders through the USPS and never ever get caught for it. But the one time that you do, it may cost you a $2,000 fine, possibly up to a year in prison to 2 years probation, and possible forfeiture of your collection that you have in your house. So you just need one grumpy postmaster or one grumpy clerk that you go pick up your thing and they say, oh, what's in there? And you unknowingly, because you don't know the rules, say, oh, I got tarantulas shipped from blah, blah, blah tarantulas. And they're like, oh, dude, that's illegal. And they could ask you, and they could actually open your package. And if they find that that's what's actually in there, they can charge you and they will take that thing. So please, please, please request FedEx shipping. Now, it's against FedEx's policies to ship live animals, but it's not against the law. So there's a tiny bit of difference there. Go to KC Tarantula's site on YouTube and look up his video about brown boxing or shipping tarantulas from overseas. He gives some good information on all the stuff that you need to have to ship something from Germany or Poland or England or wherever here to the United States. And you would be surprised the amount of money that you would have to spend just to get the thing shipped here legally. So when you look at that package from tarantulas blah, blah, blah over there in England, and you say, oh my God, it's only going to cost me $5 to ship it here, and I'm going to get these 6 or 7 tarantulas for like $5 a piece, that's a deal until you get caught. Or they get held up in the mail for 6 or 7 or 8 days. And then it comes USPS. So now not have you only broken one law, an international shipping law, but now you're breaking a continental shipping law. So please be careful. So I hope that, again, there's other groups out there. There's some that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. I just don't mix with that group or them handful of groups. So there's other, like I said, there's other ones out there that I'm just not members of. Tarantula Owners Worldwide, Tarantula Gossip. There's a handful of other ones that people do frequently go to. And when they come back, generally you get, I can't believe what they said over there. I can't believe how they banned me for saying this, and they think that it's okay to have this tarantula on, a half an inch of substrate, and they're protecting the person that is arguing about it. It's one of those groups that we cater to the person's feelings, you know. And another thing, real quick, before I end this, if you go on these groups and you post a picture of your enclosure, and somebody says, I think you need a little bit more substrate, or I would think about changing that screen, you know, out to plexiglass instead. You know, the water dish is too big, or, you know, you have a terrestrial spider in an arboreal enclosure. People aren't doing that to be jerks. They're just trying to help you. They may not come across that way, but remember, everything that's in black and white, the tone that you take is the tone that you take. So if you look at that post and it pisses you off, you automatically think that they posted that trying to be mean, and really they didn't. We get that a lot. So you have to have thick skin. You have to be able to take criticism. And if you think it gets out of hand, send a message to an administrator of that group and explain to them the situation, okay? Because that's going to be your best course of action. So again, a little bit different, no spiders for this one. I hope you guys learned a little bit here. I hope that it's a little bit easier to maneuver these groups. I hope everything was audibly okay, and I hope that you guys could see the computer screen. I know it's a little bit touchy. I tried to do it with the lights off, but then it didn't really. It was like one big shadow. The reflection of the screen coming back to the camera, it just didn't want to pick it up very well. So again, thanks for watching. And if you have any questions about the groups, you know, feel free to send me a message. You can send it to me on the YouTube comments. Talk to you later. Bye.